To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to see because, yeah, there was a lot of passing and a lot of traffic to deal with, but there was also a lot of space between a lot of the other classes. So if you look beyond GTD Pro, there was fairly spaced out, I would say, battles, but they weren't within that 3 seconds.
How many cars?
I don't know what we're going to see. The yellows really played an effect on everything, too.
I mean, yeah, absolutely right.
Yes,
Finish off with a couple of questions very quickly. Should we have banking on the carousel, says Pierre?
No. Let them slide off.
Let them slide off. Okay, so that's a nice, easy one. Sebring 12 fan, I certainly hope Winwood Racing gets to keep this win. I don't think there's any chance of them not doing that at the moment, although we've got post-race scrutineering as well. They were very happy with that, weren't they?
Oh, they were thrilled. They were over the moon that finally they get to stand on the top step of the podium again. Since their first race, they haven't been on the top step of the podium. But yeah, you're right. Post-race scrutineering, there is quite a bit of damage to the front of that car. I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just hope that everything goes well for them. But also think about the yellow, how much that changed the shape of the race at the end, because our top 3 cars were very, very close, and in one case not going to make it, as confirmed by the team before that checkered flag even was coming close to being waved.
Shea, thanks very much for all your hard work this weekend. We'll see you at VIR for the GT Festival. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Shea Adam down in the pit lane. It was Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Tim Gray has been on duty for everything over the weekend. Tim, thank you very much indeed. We've got a lot to talk about on Wednesday on Midweek Motorsport. 8 o'clock UK time. That's 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm John Hindhaugh from the National Park of Speed, Road America and IMSA's fabulous racing weekend. Bye-bye for now.
The Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series comes to Road America this weekend. Up next, round 2 of the weekend from this iconic circuit. Just over 4 miles and just over 30 entrants in Lamborghini Super Trofeo here at Road America. What a stellar place this is. 1950, sports cars racing started in Elkhart Lake around the streets of the village, but 5 years later, Road America opened, just over 4 miles long. It has not changed much since the first laps were turned. Massive elevation change. Turn 1, high speed, good passing opportunities in turn 5, turn 8, and Canada Corner, but then a long uphill pull all the way to the start-finish line. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Brian Till, along with Jeremy Shaw, and we've had some weather in the area throughout the day. The racetrack dry right now, and hope it stays that way for the next 50 minutes. Yesterday was a wild one in race number 1 of the weekend. At the green flag, Lucas Peterson, Ashley Freiberg a little bit further back in the pack. The number 1 leads into turn 1, but then the problems happen very early on. There's the issue between Peterson and Freiberg goes around. And then a problem, Ophir Levy aboard the number 13 pulling off. That brings out a full course caution. Mechanical issue there. Then Slade Stewart will spin with a flat tire and set him back just a little bit. That right front or right rear Pirelli down on his Lamborghini Super Trofeo Huracan Evo. Then the pit stops happen. Gianno Torino, Laura Spinelli aboard the 88 lead out of the pit lane after the mandatory pit stop. Good action all around the racetrack. The 14 of Slade Stewart, Gianno Torino, side by side in the carousel. That's two different classes of cars there competing for the same piece of real estate. Did not work out particularly well. Then AJ Moss in the 7th into the kitty litter in turn 14. But in the end, under full course caution, Gianno Torino, Laura Spinelli, they take the overall win. The first for Gianno Torino in the pro category, and that best the second place finish that he and Spinelli had back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. A lot of action there, Jeremy. Yesterday, I would expect the same today.
Oh man, it was non-stop excitement. Unfortunately, quite a lot of races run under yellow for those various incidents. But when the racing was on track, it was intense. And Gianno Torino there did a really good job of holding off the charging cars behind him after that pit stop. He was probably fortunate in the race went caution again after that, so he didn't have to fend off the other attackers in those closing stages because of that full course caution. But look, it was a well-earned victory by him. He's already led 3 races earlier in the season, and that time he comes away with his first victory for himself and that Torino racing team. So well earned for them. Some great battling down the field as well, and conditions today quite different, but the track is still dry at the moment and hopefully will remain so for the next 50 minutes.
Understand 2 pace laps for race number 2. Yesterday it was only 1, so drivers will have a little better opportunity to get these Pirelli tires up to speed. We are running after the WeatherTech series, and the track crew here always so good at keeping the track clean and race ready, Jeremy, but you've got to think there's some marbles out there.
Yeah, there are, and there's also some little bit of dampness left over from the racing from during the race earlier this afternoon, where there was some rain. So track conditions, this gives the drivers a good opportunity to get that and really judge how much grip there is on this racetrack, because it's not necessarily cooler than yesterday. It's very, very humid here, but the track is it's pretty tricky out there, so I think it's a good opportunity for the drivers just to learn a little bit more getting ready for this race.
Well, there'll be 2 pace laps. We're about to begin our second one, but the race clock will start as they cross the line for this second pace lap. It was a record entry for the weekend, Jeremy. We lost a couple of cars, so it's not a record field that starts, but take us through the grid for today's race.
Yeah, I think we've lost number 74 car, which is Tom Kerr and Danny Hardy. That car did not start yesterday, nor did Claude Signoretti in car number 51, nor Alan Grossberg or Tom Tate. They both had an incident yesterday. It looks like there's a problem there with number 14 car. Is there a loose wheel on the back of that car? It looks like it might have been. That is the LB Cup pole sitter. Let's run through the field though quickly. At the back will be Tiger Tari in car number 18. Let's have a look at that. Oh, whoops. Ah, yes, the left rear is not... there's a problem with the left rear on Slade Stewart's car. That is the LB Cup championship leader. He had some problems yesterday as well.
It's the whole rear end, Jeremy. Because
really?
it was the left rear at one point in time, and now the right rear, so...
Yeah.
That's odd. I've never seen an issue like that before.
That is truly bizarre. And very unfortunate for Slade Stewart. It's not been his weekend.
It's like the whole back end of the car is come undone, and I'm not sure about the confetti release that I just saw there. What was that?
The transaxle on that car, so it's not as if it's a solid axle or anything. That's really bizarre. I don't remember seeing that before. And of course, the good news for him is he had a pretty good championship lead coming to this weekend. I mean, but he did get the pole position today and yesterday. That's 2 championship points, but only finished 5th in the class yesterday, which is not what he's used to. He's won the class in LB Cup 3 times this season as Slade Stewart. Yeah, that whole wheel is loose.
Yeah, I mean, the whole assembly, but so is the left side. It's like something's been left undone or something broke on the upright, because the left side had the same issue. We saw that when he stopped at the King.
Yeah. Well, you got me on that
Very
one.
strange.
So another one down in that case, I guess. So should we have a quick run? Let's have a quick run through the field then, shall we? On the 16th row is Tiger Tari in car number 18, Rogelio Perugia in car number 34. Row 15, Jason Gagnon-Keats in car number 54, won the LB Cup class yesterday, alongside John Hirschberg in car number 13. Scott Schmidt in car number 38 and Cesar Baccarella in number 45 will share row 14. Bart Collins in car number 4 and Keon Tandon. Yesterday was his first ever car race. Former Carter, youngster from California in car number 89, will start 25th. John Hennessy in car number 33, AJ Muss, a former snowboarder, in car number 7. Damon Oakey in car number 8, Jake Walker in car number 77. 20th position, Wesley Slimp in car number 9, alongside Luke Berkeley, hoping for better luck than yesterday. He had all sorts of dramas yesterday in car number 23. Slade Stewart was due to line up in 18th position, car number 14, but won't. That was his 4th pole position in the LB Cup. Jordan O'Brien driving solo in number 99 car, alongside Randy Solari in car number 3. And then Jeff Courtney on the inside of row 8 in car number 66. Shian Chandrasoma in car number 19, and Lucas Peterson in car number 42 will share row 7. Joel Miller driving solo in car number 11 in the 12th position, alongside the AM pole sitter for the 3rd time this year, Nico Riga, also the championship leader in car number 48 for the Precision Performance Motorsports team. Top 10, Aidan Yoder in car number 53, number 88, yesterday's winner, Gianno Torino. Row 4, Tom Long in car number 25 and Eduardo Piscopo in car number 50. Row 3, Dario Capitanio in car number 27, alongside Sebastian Carrazza, who won yesterday in the number 47 in the Pro-Am class. Nelson Piquet Jr. will start in the 4th position in car number 30. The Pro-Am pole sitter is 3rd on the grid, car number 46, John Capestro Dubets. And then on the front row, Billy Johnson in car number 71 for TPC Racing, and on the pole position for this his 2nd overall pole for Wayne Taylor Racing in car number 1, the championship leader, that is Kyle Marcelli.
Slade Stewart, we saw the problem with in pit lane, not happy at all as he's about to miss the action as the green flag waves. We're racing at Road America. It's round 2 of the weekend, and the number 1 leads down to turn 1. How many times have we said that so far this season, Jeremy? Because that number 1 of Kyle Marcelli, it has been so incredibly strong. He and Danny Formal have been absolutely magic, especially here at Road America. But look at this challenge down the inside.
Yeah, that's Billy Johnson there looking to the inside. What a great pass by Billy. He's been had some struggles this season getting used to this car, but that was a great pass for the lead. Is he going to be able to hang on to it as they run down toward turn 5?
Had a good run yesterday in Michelin Pilot Challenge, and now side by side into the brake zone. Wheel to wheel, axle to axle through turn 5. Marcelli washes out just a little bit. Johnson has room, loses a little time on that high line, takes a little bit extra distance, a little bit less grip out there, but holds on to the position.
He does, and Nelson Piquet Jr. right behind him in 3rd position. The Brazilian, son of the 3-time Formula 1 world champion. He himself drove in Formula 1, did Junior. He's also won a NASCAR Cup race here at Road America, so loves this racetrack, and is running in the 3rd position for ANSA Motorsports at the moment.
Remember, in Lamborghini Super Trofeo action, 4 different classes at the same time. Look at Billy Johnson. The handle on that car working well today. The 71, he's got it by the reins, and he is whipping it forward. You don't see passes like that.
Wow. Tell you what, Brian, side by side into the kink, man, that's total commitment from Billy Johnson there. He wanted that race win, didn't he? And Kyle Marcelli on the inside line there didn't have any option but to lift off a little bit, and that's cost him 2nd position. Brilliant pass by Billy Johnson.
Marcelli from 1st to 3rd with that power move by Billy Johnson. I've never seen a pass like that at the kink.
I might have seen a few, but they're
I've never seen a successful pass like that.
No, but there you go. Normally they end in tears, don't they? That's exactly right.
Wow, I'm still amazed at that as Nelson Piquet now slides up to 2nd. Here's a look at it again.
Yeah. You've got to run around the outside of the carousel, and that's the preferred line going into the kink. And Carl Marcelli at that point has got a decision to make. Does he brave it out side by side? In which case he's almost certainly getting to run into the side of the car that's trying to make that pass, and they're probably both going to crash. Or he lifts off. He made the right decision, lifted off, and that cost him well, 1.5 positions, I guess, from first equal down to third place.
Well, yeah, live to fight another day. If you press the issue too hard, if Marcelli or if Johnson has a problem and comes back across the racetrack, then you're going to be a part of that problem as well. You don't want that. You still have 43, 44 minutes to go when that was taking place. Let discretion be the better part of valor. Talked about it yesterday, though, Jeremy. You look down the list of names running in the top 10 right now, and they are all world-class sports car drivers. I know that's a term that we use a lot whenever we come to an IMSA sports car weekend, because the paddock is full of them. But the starting drivers right now in all of these categories are probably the faster drivers in the car, and so the action that you're going to see is probably a little bit closer. And as we could tell from yesterday, it was certainly cleaner.
It was good, respectful driving here. I mean, these are serious racing cars. They are really fast around here. They reach pretty close to 170 miles an hour on the run here into Canada Corner, into turn 12. And they reach that terminal velocity 3 different times on this racetrack. Up into turn 1, downhill into turn 5, and there into Canada Corner. Seriously quick cars.
Understand there will be a penalty drive-through for car number 9. With contact with the 14 on the formation lap, so maybe that's what Slade Stewart's problem was. And I don't think the officials are going to sit back and let anything happen today. It got a little wild yesterday, and I think they're going to clamp down on it early. Wesley Slimp behind the wheel of the 9, and he will have a trip down pit lane.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's unfortunate for him, but yeah, a decision the stewards have got to make, and did.
And get it done early, right? I mean, if you're going to have a penalty, you want it done early. Get back out on the racetrack. You'll be well behind the rest of the field, but a full course caution brings you right back to the field, and then you can go at it again. And don't forget, mandatory pit stop here in Lamborghini action. So these Super Trofeo cars, and there's the 9 coming down pit lane. They'll come to pit lane for a mandatory pit stop, and the 9, Wesley Slimp, will hand over to Tyler Hoffman. So Hoffman still has a chance at this. They get a full course caution. They are certainly not out of the game.
No, they're not, and they will be trying to battle back from there. You can see it. Well, okay, there's a big chunk missing out of the left front on that number 9 car of Wesley Slimp, so that would correspond, I guess, with the damage on the back of number 14 car.
See if we can see what happens on the pace lap.
Yeah, there it was. Slade Stewart was forced to check up there because all the cars ahead of him did so. Unfortunately, Wesley Slimp was probably just unsighted, just come through the kink, trying to build some heat into his tyres, and yeah, it certainly wasn't done anything deliberately. Everybody checked up, but he wasn't ready for it, and cannoned into the back of Slade Stewart. That's going to end Slade Stewart's race. So really just sort of unfortunate circumstances, but the race stewards have no alternative but to make that decision to call a penalty.
And for Billy Johnson, TPC Racing has gotten the 71 up and running big time today, because the performance that I'm seeing right now, you know that he's got a really good race car underneath him. A lot of times you can trick a car, throw a car around a little bit in the low speed corners here at Road America and try to get it to work for you, but there's no pitching and catching for Billy Johnson. You don't run side by side through the carousel, through turn 1 like we saw a little bit earlier, and then through the kink with a car that you're trying to stay on top of. It's a car that's underneath you really, really well. Billy Johnson with a good Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo underneath him right now.
Yeah, and some really close action there down the field. That number 66 car is Jeff Courtney. He's from the Milwaukee area. And he's running in that 16th position, 4th in the AM class at the moment. He's only done a couple of races in that car previously. He's got a lot of experience in other cars, but a good train behind him there with AJ Muss, the former snowboarder, Olympic snowboarder. Randy Saleri right in that green and the white and green car. the first of those two white and green cars. Behind Randy Saleri is Jake Walker, another youngster making his debut this weekend in the number 77 car, and Damon Oakey, who will be sharing that number 8 car with Patrick Liddy, who was running right up the front yesterday.
We talked about Billy
Pro-Am cars.
Yeah, you talked about Billy Johnson out in front and having a good car underneath him. I just checked the times from yesterday. Billy Johnson's best lap time in the race yesterday was a 209.1. His last lap was a 207 flat. So somehow, some way, they found something with the 71, 2 seconds a lap quicker than he was here yesterday.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, most of yesterday's race was run under yellow, wasn't it? Unfortunately, they got very few laps of green flag running, so nobody really got fully up to speed. I don't think that's what we're seeing right now. The pole time on Friday was set by Carl Marcelli was a 205.844, so we're still outside of that realm of pace, but some heady action here as they come through to complete lap 5. A new fastest lap of the race there, down to the 6s now for Billy Johnson. A little bit quicker than him was Carl Marcelli in the 3rd position, 206.8 for that 3rd place car number 1.
And a problem, it looks like one of the 47 Motorsports Lamborghinis. Is that the 7? Is that AJ Muss?
No, it's the 77 of Jake Walker.
I could see the 7 on it, but I couldn't tell if there was another one from that long shot. So Walker has found the gravel trap.
16-year-old from Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And he's off at turn 14 there is Jake Walker. Finally making his debut. He tried to make his debut earlier in the season, but didn't have the correct licensing in place. He's done a little bit of spec Miata racing and some karting, but that's about it. But his dad, Neil Walker, did do some GT3 Cup racing a few years ago, so there's sort of racing in the family blood there. But unfortunately for Jake, that car is going to be beached and almost certainly going to bring out a full course caution.
Indeed, it has. And here's the thing, though, for Walker. Thank goodness the gravel is there, because he ended up stopped about 5 feet short of the tire wall as the 18 on pit road. This is unscheduled.
Yeah, he's just going to dig a deeper hole there, is Jake. He's not going to get the car out of there, unfortunately.
Tiger Tari on pit lane, and Walker mired in the gravel. Full course caution is out. So they get the field stacked up and get them gathered up. That'll allow them to get the gale lift out and remove Walker from that gravel. Like I said, thank goodness it's there. Once you're in it, more than likely you're not getting out of it, especially in a sports car like this Lamborghini, as low slung as it is. What ends up happening is the tires are down in the gravel, and it's really just sitting there on the flat bottom of the car. So there's really no weight on the tires anymore, and it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, and as you said, Jeremy, that just digs it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So that's going to be the end of the 16-year-old's day. Yesterday, what did he finish yesterday? He finished the race yesterday, did a sensible job, kept out of trouble, and got his first championship points under his belt. So it was a good start, certainly, for Jake Walker yesterday. Finished in the 6th position in the very, very competitive AM class. So that was a pretty solid debut for the youngster from Pennsylvania. In that kind of number 77, running for the 47 Motorsports team and representing the Philadelphia dealership. All of the cars in this race represent one or other of the Lamborghini dealerships around the country. And there is not only are there 4 separate driver championships for the 4 categories of driver, there's to be pros, pro-ams, AMs, and Lamborghini Cup for those who are relatively very little experienced. There's also a teams championship, which is led by Wayne Taylor Racing. Amongst that squad is Carl Marcelli, currently running in 3rd position, started on the pole position. And the dealer championship, we've had 19 different dealers scoring points this season, and Palm Beach holds the championship lead over Paramus, and then Washington in 3rd position.
So they've gotten the 77 out, but I'm looking at the race clock at the top of the screen, Jeremy. We talk about the mandatory pit stop. Closing in on that time, it happens at the 30-minute mark, and so we're only 3 minutes away from it, thinking that the officials may need to slide that window?
Yeah, I mean, they've had sort of 25 minutes of racing. I don't think they'll be able to make the pit stops most likely under caution. I think they'll probably wait till they go green, so I think they might sort of slide that back a little bit, until we go back to green perhaps. There's Walker has got that car underway again, and very nicely, very kindly spreading gravel everywhere on the racetrack as he heads up the hill into the pit lane for a look over at that car.
Well, and where he is, there's no reason not to look it over. It'll also get some of the gravel out there. Unfortunately, as you said, he had to come across the racetrack to do it. And, you know, at 16 years old, to try to keep him cool, calm, and collected after the problem that he just had, I had to chuckle when you were talking about licensing issues. I'm like, well, yeah, licensing issues. He wasn't 16 years old, and you're asking him to drive a 650-plus horsepower Lamborghini. So, yeah, you would think there would be some licensing issues with that. The age of these young drivers now is just astounding to me, especially in equipment like they're in. But they make a good accounting of themselves, and you expect problems along the way. And as we said on this one, thank goodness the gravel trap was there. No harm, no foul, but he's got a good future ahead of him.
You're right. Yes, indeed. And you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? Some of the drivers choosing to start off in Lamborghini. That's a lot of race car for somebody starting out the sport, in my opinion. But Jake Walker's done that this weekend. He has at least done a little bit of car racing before. Keon Tandon in the number 89 car has done absolutely zero. This is his first ever car race. A lot of karting over the years, and done a lot of sim racing as well, which is actually where I first saw the name. He did one of the Road to Indy sim races over the winter. We did a few of them actually. It was pretty quick, but he's filling in the number 89 car is Keon Tandon from Calabasas, California, for Fred Roberts, who generally drives the number 89 car. He was in Portugal last week, flew back to his home in Toronto. Unfortunately, his flight from Toronto to here was cancelled. He tried all sorts of ways to get from Toronto to here, but it just wasn't working out, so he wasn't able to drive the car. Keon Tandon was here in any case because he'd been hoping to drive the car, or drive one of the cars on that team, and then the opportunity came up.
Never show it up at a racetrack without your suit and helmet bag, that's for sure. Going back to green now with just over 30 minutes to go, so I'm thinking that maybe they'll be able to open the pit window at their normal time. The entire field will stream by and be by pit in, so no one should have an advantage. And with that happening, if it goes to plan, we should see the pit window open very soon. The question is, who will be the first takers to dive to pit lane?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I would think we'll probably get quite a lot of takers next time around. Some of the cars are driven by a solo driver in this race, and there's a few extra ones that are driven by two drivers, but everybody has to make that same pit stop anytime between now, basically, and over the course of the next 10 minutes. And for the teams that are running two drivers where one driver is quicker than the other, then if the quicker driver is in right now, which is the case for most of the cars, then he will probably stay in. But if the quicker driver is yet to get in, he'll probably get in at the earliest opportunity.
Watching John Capestro de Betz, the fourth car in line. Great run yesterday to take the victory with Bryson Liu, and showing just how talented he is, running fourth overall right now and first in Pro-Am. Sebastian Carrazzo, sixth on the racetrack, second in the Pro-Am category, just two cars behind.
Yeah, that's right. And Sebastian Carrazzo driving solo this weekend. His regular co-driver Brian Ortiz, also from Puerto Rico. He and his wife expecting a baby very, very soon. Actually, I think the baby was born perhaps yesterday or the day before. Somebody was supposed to send me a note about that, and they didn't. So Brian, we're sorry you're not here. Hope all is well with the expanded family, and very, very best wishes. And I know he'll be excited to get back here again soon. But Sebastian Carrazzo has had a couple of pole positions this weekend. A second place finish yesterday in the Pro-Am class. No, he didn't have the pole position yesterday, I beg your pardon. But he's looking for a good, strong run here. Now is Billy Johnson is amongst the cars coming onto the pit lane, so the leader is into the pits at the earliest opportunity. Billy Johnson is not sharing this car with anybody, so he will make the pit stop and then resume the race.
And just such an impressive run. He will have a minimum time on pit road, so that's from the pit speed limiting sign on the way in to the pit limited speed on the way out. Through that time, he needs to sit for 102 seconds. So they'll make some tire pressure adjustments right now. The crew's checking the tire pressures. It's the only thing that they can do. They'll check the lug nuts as well, torque them down with that giant torque wrench, and make sure that they get the car and make sure that it's good to go. And that tire pressure is really the only thing that they can adjust as far as the handling, and a lot of takers now that the pit window is open. You can't really wait a long time, Jeremy, can you? It's a 10-minute window, but with a 2+ minute lap, you don't have that many opportunities to pit.
You don't. No, that's right. So, you know, the 5-minute window will go past very, very quickly indeed. Just showing a spin there for Rogelio Perugia, one of the LB Cup contenders at turn 3. He's continued, however, I think that, yeah, he hasn't yet handed over that car to his teammates, so that'll cost him a little bit of time, obviously.
Let's run down the 3 classes. It'll change with the pit stops. Piquet now being shown leading in Pro. John Capestro Dubets, JCD as we call him, leading in Pro-Am. All of this is going to change. Nico Rieger in Am. Jonathan Hirschberg in LB Cup. But as we cycle through the pit stops, this race could change complexion very quickly. We talk about the time on pit road, 102 seconds if you're a solo driver, 99 seconds if it's a 2-driver format. And a problem here, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. 2 cars involved. If you stop in the gravel, a lot of times you don't get out.
Oh, wow.
It's the leader.
It is the leader.
And there are 3 cars down.
Oh, wait a minute. Is there some oil down? There must be some oil
4.
down. Oh, no.
Both?
That's so. But yeah, AJ Muss was already off the road there in number 7 car, and I think number 77 of Jake Walker, his teammate, slid off there and has made heavy contact with the side of the number 7 car. Wow, that was a big impact.
And there was another car off to the side. I think that may have been Jeff Courtney, who has gotten his car back underway. And we are under full course caution again in the 34 now with a problem. Do we have rain coming down on the racetrack, or has someone put oil down?
Yeah, it could be rain. I think it is. Might be raining. Yeah, it's conditions here. There's
there it is.
Certainly very, very threatening skies. Yeah, you can see now. Yeah.
Oh, you can see it coming down, and we talked about this in our IMSA WeatherTech broadcast earlier. And this racetrack is so big and so spread out. It's on 640 acres here, just south of Elkhart Lake, about an hour and a half north of Milwaukee. It can be completely dry on some of the areas of the racetrack and just a monsoon in others. So heavy contact down in Canada Corner. Let's see if we can see what happens as the drivers come in here kind of unaware that it is even raining. 1 car off, 2 cars, 3 cars.
Yeah, Piquet reversing his way out there. He was very fortunate not to reach all the way to the tire barrier there. We can see the number 7 car, glimpse the number 7 car to his right. Piquet does a really good job there of getting that car out and underway again before anybody else arrives on the scene.
There comes, there comes
Jake
the
Walker.
77. That was Walker.
Yeah, going backwards at high speed, just missed Nelson Piquet. Unfortunately, did not miss his teammate AJ Muss. That's going to cause a lot of damage.
And here's the deal. Anti-lock brakes are all well and good, but they will not save you, and they will not counter the laws of physics. That much speed into an area where there is no grip, it doesn't matter anti-lock brakes or no anti-lock brakes. Take a look at the 34. This is coming up out of turn 12 into turn 13, and just around she goes. That was where that heavy rain was on the racetrack, and I don't know if there's rain down on the opposite end, that turn 1, turn 3, turn 5 carousel, or if it's just down in Canada Corner.
Yeah, I'm not sure that wasn't that car's second spin on that same lap, actually. I'm not quite sure, but he's got the car back to the pit lane, and there is Scott Schmidt, who is buried in a gravel trap. He had not come into the pits this time around, and he was leading LB Cup. He won LB Cup. His first win in the LB Cup category for Scott Schmidt came last weekend. And he's spun off there at turn 13 as well and just beached that car in the gravel. He was on his way to the pit lane, hasn't made it.
Pit window still being shown as open, but what happens now, Jeremy, if they can't get Schmidt out of the gravel before the window closes?
Yeah, out of luck basically. But we're already under full course caution, so yeah, he's just going to extend the caution while they get those two stricken number 7 and number 77, the two 47 motorsports cars out of the harm's way at Canada Corner, and then the safety team can focus on Scott Schmidt's car. Boy, he's a long way off the road, isn't he?
Well, the good news
that's what happened here. He was on slick tires.
Yeah.
The question now is, of those cars that came into the pit lane, how many, if any, changed onto wet weather tires?
I think the only place it's raining is down in,
well, you might be right,
Canada Corner 13 and 14. It's the only place we've seen it on our cameras. It's not raining in turn 1, the report from our camera. Also, speaking of reports, good news that Jake Walker and AJ Muss, the 77 and the 7, both out of the car on their own power. So that is good to see, especially with that impact. Do understand it's raining at the kink. So kind of that back area of the racetrack is where the moisture is right now. That and at the incident scene. And I think a lot of that fluid that we're seeing right there is out of the tire wall. Heavy rain earlier this morning, and the big impact with the tire wall knocks that water out of the tires that are behind that banding.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, quite a few of these teams have spotters down there at Canada Corner. But you know, if someone like Nelson Piquet Jr. is caught out by that rain, you know, it took him by surprise, and he's been around this sport a long time. Well, all of his life, obviously, with a three-time world champion as a father. And for him to get caught out there, you know, is saying something. So, you know, tricky conditions down there, but a lot of drivers sliding off the road there, and some making contact, and others, fortunately, not. And the good news for Piquet is he managed to go absolutely straight on through that gravel, got it all slowed down before he got into the tire wall, and then, very fortunately, was able to get out of that gravel. You know, all the drivers do a track walk before they get into the cars. There's a track walk on the Thursday morning here. I wonder whether he and or some of the drivers actually checked out that gravel, see, you know, how deep is it, how much, is there any grip in there, are you going to be able, if you do end up in there, what is the likelihood of getting out of it?
Well, it's always worth a try, but it usually doesn't work. I was surprised to see Piquet able to get out, and with the weather moving in, looking at Twitter right now, Right Turn Lover on Twitter said, hey, IMSA Radio, Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw, racer with the Trofeo Lambos have rain tires at their disposal, and certainly they do. The Lamborghini Super Trofeo North American Series, the Pirelli tires, they have both a slick and a rain tire available, but at the beginning of this race, there was no way you would put a rain tire on. No. So and now it's just kind of, you've got to make that mandatory pit stop as the fans there on the hill pointing and waving. And it's a great thing about this racetrack. Such a great fan base up here. And Jeremy, I don't know, half the time we come up here for the racing, and part of the time I come for the food because the concession stands are so good here. The fans staying to watch these Lamborghinis on the hill, big wave. And the weather does not keep them away from the racetrack. Just a little bit of dampness. Not really the umbrella. Not the umbrella I expected to see that gentleman carrying, actually.
Yeah, look, Kate, it does rain. It does rain in this part of the world. That's why it's so green here. So rain is not unusual. All of the fans here come prepared.
Look at that, they are ready.
All eventualities. Look at those ponchos, aren't those great? So 2 cars that have not yet made, well, no, 1 car. I think the only car that has not yet made a pit stop is Nelson Piquet out in front of the field. He was off the road at Canada Corner, did not come into the pits after that, and therefore leads the race. So the first of the cars that have pitted, that's Scott Schmidt again, isn't it? So they obviously got him back out, but he hasn't got very far, unfortunately.
He got to turn 3, and
oh, did he? Okay,
now he's around again. And so that's telling me that now the moisture has extended over the racetrack, and that is going to bring out a red flag. I think what we're seeing, Jeremy, is in an event like this, in this sprint race where you've got some 2-driver formats, a mandatory pit stop in the middle of the race, the opportunity to change to rain tires if you need them just really isn't there, and the additional cleanup that needed to take place on the racetrack. So the officials just saying, you know what, maybe we've had enough of this for right now. Let's stop this, get it under control, and see if we can get it restarted.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a shame, but I'm quite sure where I'm not so sure. There might not be some. Whatever. The cars will all come onto the pit lane now. Joel Miller in car number 11. He's driving that giddy car solo this weekend. Brett Jacobson, his regular co-driver, unable to make the trip here to Wisconsin. So the team, Flying Lizard Motorsports, asked him what he wanted to do. He said, look, let's just have Joel run the car solo this weekend. Joel is the pro driver in his car, former Mazda factory driver, of course, a lot of success in open wheel racing before that. And this is an opportunity for Joel Miller. He and Brett have done very little testing in this car. I'm not sure they've done any testing during the season, actually. So this gives Joel, as the pro driver, an opportunity to get more track time during this weekend, learn more about the car, and really what makes that car go, what it needs to go fast. And right now it's shown in the, sure there's not some sort of mess up with the scoring, to be honest, because all of a sudden number 30 car, number 46 is shown a lap ahead of everybody else. Not quite sure how that could be. But anyhow, Joel Miller shown in the 4th position. Nelson Piquet, having not made a pit stop, is in the lead of this race. Bryson Liu taking over from John Capestro-Dubetz, who was in the lead when he came into the pits, remains so after the pit stops. And Ashton Harrison, having taken over from Tom Long, now in the 3rd position. And for those drivers who are driving the race solo, their mandatory pit stop has to be 3 seconds longer than the cars which have 2 drivers aboard that will be sharing that car during the race. So therefore the cars that do have dual drivers, their pit stop is faster, and it gives an opportunity, if they all come into the pits at the same time, to make up some positions during that pit stop.
And the clock is stopped with 17 minutes and 17 seconds to go, and that is the benefit of being the final race here of the weekend. There's time on the backside that the officials can use, and I think that's a great call. Otherwise, the cars would still be circulating, burning up the race clock while they're trying to get the mess cleaned up down in Canada Corner. That's going to be a lengthy fix as they remove the 7 and 77, make sure the tire wall is intact and the racetrack is safe to run on it. And having that opportunity being the last race of the day, you can kind of bleed over a little bit, if you will. Speaking of co-drivers, it's important to have co-drivers and friends, and I don't know if the last couple of dogs we've seen are co-drivers, but certainly even the puppies having a good time out here. And again, it's what makes Road America so great. It's such a family venue. It's a place where a lot of families from not only the area, but the Chicago area, and really race fans from all over the world come to sit on the hillside. And yeah, a toast to you guys as well. Damp conditions, and I don't think anybody's going away. They're on the hill. It was just a brief shower, but just brief enough to mess things up. And I love that flowered shirt up there on the hill. Jeremy, I think you need one just like it. You live in California.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely right.
And look at that. I mean, children of all ages, I should say, because I think even some of those people that are reaching near my age are still children. They probably act like it when they come to the racetrack. Big thumbs up from everyone.
Yeah, there's just a great atmosphere, great vibe here at Road America, isn't there? It's one of the one of the greatest venues in the world. Just speaking to drivers who are here racing this weekend in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race, the headline event of the weekend, and quite a few of them, perhaps surprisingly, here for the very first time, and absolutely loving it. One of the drivers, Danny Juncadella from Spain. He drives one of the factory cars in the GT category, and he was supposed to be racing in Europe this weekend, but he was asked whether he would like to come here to do the race, and he absolutely jumped at the opportunity. And I saw him yesterday over lunch, and just loves this racetrack. Everybody who comes here, it's a real challenge, just an old school racetrack, and but just the whole vibe about the place, the parkland atmosphere, the concession stands, like you were saying, Brian Till, it's just a wonderful place to come and enjoy your friends and enjoy some racing. America's
National Park of Speed, they call it, and that young man must be in the witness protection program because he's turned his face away from the camera. They can't get him to look. Let's talk a little bit about there he is, a little bit about the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series, especially as I saw AJ Muss's car moved away. I love this series for what it has become and what Chris Ward and everybody at Lamborghini has been able to build it into. There is stellar talent up front. We've talked about that, and it is now a destination for a lot of these drivers to make their mark in motorsport. But the other thing that I think Lamborghini and the Lamborghini engineers and designers have done, Jeremy, and we just saw it, and that is produce a very safe race car. High impact there in Canada Corner, but you could see the outline of part of the crash structure on AJ Muss's door because it was forced in by the impact from Jake Walker as he slid in there. And the idea that AJ Muss climbed out of that car on his own, and so did Jake Walker, tells me that these cars are not only very fast, not only very sexy, but they're also very safe.
Yeah, and there's a great example also of the fact that you stay in your race car until you're told to get out. I mean, if AJ had been clambering out of that car, then that doesn't bear thinking about, quite frankly. But you stay in there. It would not have been comfortable to be hit broadside in on the side there. But as you say, the safety structures are really impressive on these cars. There's a lot of engineering capabilities goes into the design to make sure that they are safe as can be, and that was a really good indication of how good these cars are in terms of protecting their drivers. Look at all those cars lined up in pit lane. It's a fantastic sight, isn't it? I mean, they're great looking cars, and that many of them. Wow.
Let's go run karts after this.
Yeah, no, not a bad idea, actually. Not a bad idea.
Oh, this guy's saying
there's something else you can
power.
do. I mean, there's a go-kart track here within the confines of the racetrack, and it's open for business all weekend long. And right now,
it's with
a little bit of rain around, it is really slippery.
Slick. I'm watching this guy slide around. Fun. I couldn't tell if he was saying, hey, the track's not in good shape, or hey, I'm down on power, because that's what every race car driver says, right? I'm down on power. He gave it the thumbs down as he came by the last time. You can actually see the sheen on those go-kart tires, so there's a fair amount of moisture up there.
Yeah, no, true. I tell you what, when we do get back to green, as we can see, there's another example of the rain on the cameras there. That's looking back up the hill from turn 5. The order, excuse me, the order's really been shuffled around as a result of the timing of that caution period and who came in first and who didn't. But Nelson BK is going to lead in that number 30 car. He was running second before the round of pit stops. The number 46 car, which was running in a 4th position, will be running in the 2nd place. Number 30 car has not yet been in the pit, so he's going to have to serve his mandatory pit stop, which he cannot excuse me, cannot do under red flag conditions. In fourth position, Joel Miller in car number 11. Randy Soleri leads the AM class in car number 3, ahead of Shian Chandrasoma in car number 19, then Jordan O'Brien, David Starb, and Michael Manella. Number 19, 99, 48, and number 4. They're all in the AM class running in the top 10. In 10th position, Ophir Levy in car number 13 is running in that 10th position. Then another AM car, Tyler Hoffman in car number 9. That's the car that we shared with Wesley Slimp, who had that drive-through penalty early in this race. And then behind them are all the pro cars. Okay, because I'm not quite sure why. Well,
there's an army in there's an army in pit lane, Jeremy. What's going on here?
Basically, and it's because all those cars came in on the previous lap, and that just didn't work out in their favor. Yeah, I think they're pushing those cars where?
Are they going to be allowed to put rain tires on now? Is that?
Yeah, remainder of the race has been declared wet, so yes. All the teams now can push their cars back, change onto wet weather tires. Smart move, I think, although it's still not fully wet here.
Yeah, but I look at it and I go, you put rain tires on and they're probably good for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 laps. There's more rain coming. 5 laps, 4 laps around here at 2+ minutes is 10 minutes. There's also going to be a 4-minute pace lap. So even if it dries, I think you're not going to have great tires at the end if you put rains on, but I think you're going to like them a lot better in the first several laps that you run.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a heads-up call there from race control. Chief Steward is Todd Snyder, who's a very successful racer in his own right, and was, and so I think that's the smart call. It's not fully wet out there, but save the drivers for themselves. It makes it much more of a level playing field. There certainly isn't rain all the way around this racetrack, and there's certainly seem to be a few more spots there in pit lane than I think there were a little while ago. Most of the rain was down towards the kind of northeast end of the racetrack, down at Canada Corner.
And the most daring driver here at Road America this weekend may have been that man on the scooter coming down the hill, because I think about the wet grass and what could go wrong. He was right there beside the kart track that just had to go full course caution, because we saw a stranded driver off there to the side as well. And the crews will go to work. They'll get the Pirelli rain tires on, and crews I feel the worst for, or look at the 89, I think it's the 42 that had to push from all the way down at pit in, and this is a long pit lane. At least they're going downhill.
The good news is, exactly, the good news is they're going downhill, because it does slope all the way up from the beginning of the pit lane all the way up pretty much to the end of it. So that is the good news. They're going back downhill a little bit.
And I think this elevation change at Road America is deceptive. There's only 9 feet of difference between the elevation change here and the elevation change at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And I was talking to someone about that earlier today, and I said, I think at WeatherTech Raceway, everything is confined in a smaller area, so it looks like it's taller. You just kind of, it starts really over at turn 6 and then kind of ends at turn 9. It's just all right there in the middle. And here, it's just that long pull all the way up from 14 to turn 1, from 12 up to 14, and the climb from 5 to 6. The other great thing about this racetrack is the concession stands, Jeremy. You're looking at it right now.
Yeah, I wish we were
cheese
looking
curds,
at that, 'cause I'm pretty
bratwurst.
hungry.
Which one?
Tell you what, I'm just going to nip away for a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
no, you're not. No, you're going to stay right.
It's right there. It's just around. I'll be back very quickly.
My concern with you is that there's a margarita stand down in turn 1. That I think
that's a bit farther. That's a bit farther away.
Yeah,
I wouldn't leave you in the lurch that bad.
You won't leave me for that long. I appreciate it.
Oh,
they've got just about everything in the world you could want at the concession stands here at Road America. I mean, I read an interesting article the other day. It was a great article. It was the top 10 concession sites and the top 10 foods that you should have here when you come to Road America.
Yeah, and most tracks there isn't going to be a list as many as 10. No, well, there won't be a list as long as 10, let alone picking a top 10. But yeah, no, it's great here, and all these different stands are run by different groups. A lot of them are raising money for charities as well. It's just a wonderful place to come.
I love these guys who have turned to wave in opposite directions. It's like there's a camera somewhere, we just don't know where it is. He knows where it is. He was pointing right at it. There we go. Never know where we're going to be, do you?
No, eyes in the sky, eyes everywhere. You can see. Look at the. You can see.
Look at that. There's a new race fan
on the ground there.
There's a brand new race fan. Whoa, Dad. we need safe baby handling techniques here. We need to work on. Thank goodness Mom is there. Yes. Hand the baby over to Mom.
Brilliant.
Oh.
Hey, look, it's a family sport, isn't it? And there's so many families here.
Thank goodness.
Weekend.
There we go.
There's a lot of campers, obviously, here at Road America. It's one of the great camping venues for race fans as well, and just a great atmosphere all around.
Yeah, pick up the bigger one. This one works a little bit better. Oh my God, no, yeah, no. But as you said, Jeremy, and we were talking about it earlier, it's just such a great facility because it's not just a racetrack. I mean, its name is, for those who are race fans, America's National Park of Speed. And yes, it's an awesome racetrack, and it's an incredibly fast racetrack. Calvin and I were talking about it the other day, the joy of driving a good race car here at Road America. It's hard to beat, it's technical, it's fast, and it requires commitment, but it doesn't necessarily require bravery. And I don't know how to differentiate those two. I can tell you Canadian Tire Motorsport Park requires bravery. Here, it just requires a commitment and an understanding. But when you get it right.
Well, I'll tell you what, it requires bravery at the King. I mean, that pass that Billy Johnson made on that first lap, that was brave, because he was counting on Carl Marcelli.
That was trust.
Giving him that line.
That was trust with the person that you were racing with. You used the term committed over there, and I was going to say that I thought Billy Johnson may need to be committed after being willing to make the move that he made. But I will go back to its trust. He knows Kyle Marcelli. He knows him well, and Kyle knows Billy, and they're racing hard, but they've got a lot of trust and respect for each other. And that's what makes the racing great at the front, like we were talking about. Guys that know each other, trust each other, respect each other. They don't necessarily have to like each other, but that respect and that trust usually keeps the cars off of each other.
Yeah, good point, actually. And and there is a great camaraderie around the paddock here, particularly in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. I mean, it's a wonderful hospitality area they bring to every racetrack. Actually, I just got a text from Tom Tate Jr. Unfortunately, he's not driving in these races this weekend because he crashed the car on Friday, but he's still here and in the Lamborghini tent and enjoying the hospitality up there. And he says, yeah, we're at the Lambo drinking beer. Good man. You can bring one for me down here if you like, Tom.
Anthony Florio on Twitter, huge race fan, and he just said, Jeremy, with the Super Trofeo grid growing so much, do you think the calendar will grow more rounds in 2024? And I don't think that it's a U.S. thing. I think it's the design of the series to have the number of races that they have. I don't expect to see it grow, but I would certainly like to, because I'm enthralled by the action.
Yeah, no, the 6 weekends that's the norm for this series. That's the way it is, including the World Finals that take place at a different track each year. It's in, where is it this year?
I'm not exactly sure. I forget.
Is it Portimao? Is it Portugal this year?
Yeah, it's Portugal.
It's been in Italy, I think, the last couple of years. and they go to a different track every season. But other than that, and the Super Trofeo Series, there's one in Europe, there's one in Asia, and the and North American Series as well. And each of those championships, they have 5 race weekends on their own, plus the World Finals. And anything more than that, I mean, these cars are, they're not exactly cheap to run. So the drivers would love to drive them more, but there's also drivers whose there is a level to their budget, and if you add more race weekends, it just adds hugely to the budget. So I think 5 weekends or 6 weekends, as it is with the World Finals during the season, is just a really good number. And they can be spread out over the summer, so they're a month or so apart for a lot of these drivers. A lot of them are professional drivers, but a lot of them are also they have a real job. That's where the money comes from to do the racing. The gentleman drivers who have real business commitments to look after, and they can't afford to be racing every weekend, literally or figuratively, because it is costly, both in time and in money.
Well, and I think the other thing is, you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter whether the budget and the interest is there to run more races here. That is the design of the series worldwide, and in order to have a world championship at the end of it, you need to have the same number of races in all the different series who meet to have that championship at the end of the season. Rain tires going on, and we should start lining up cars. In fact, they're lining them up already. I'm interested to see what happens with Nelson Piquet and whether or not it's solely spend the time on pit lane that you needed to spend because of the pit stop window that would have normally been there, but he missed the window. That is usually a penalty, but it was for force majeure reasons. So what are we going to see with the 30 when we go back to green?
Yeah, I mean, look, he had an opportunity to come into the pit lane after he'd spun off the road.
That's the problem.
Spin off the road, he ran off the road, so he had an opportunity to pit and didn't. So no, I think he's going to have to come in before the end of this race, and so he's going to go basically from the front of the field to the back.
He's definitely going to have to come in. The question is there going to be a penalty? Because you hit the nail on the head. He had the opportunity. He could have.
Yeah.
And didn't. And so by electing to stay out, you put yourself in harm's way, because if we go yellow like we did, then you miss the obligatory pit window.
Yeah, fair point, but he's going to have a big enough penalty because coming in alone, he's going to fall well behind everybody else in any case. So if he has another penalty as well, it really doesn't matter, because he's going to be last, and he's not going to have any opportunity to make up that deficit, unless there's another full course caution, of course, which hopefully there won't be.
Hopefully there will not.
Teams, I think there's some shuffling of the order going on here, perhaps, as well. I'm not quite sure. It's not an easy task to get everybody back in the correct positions. Maybe they're being called out.
Yeah, they're being called out, exactly.
I think they are. That's pretty smart, isn't it? I like that.
Yeah, I think it's well organized as far as that goes. A lot of times, though, what I see happening now, a lot of times, though, after a red flag, when the safety car leads the field back out of the pit lane, the clock starts when the safety car crosses the pit outline. That's obviously not the case, because they're still getting the field in order. I'm wondering when the clock is going to start. Yeah, one would hope it won't start until the safety car or until the safety car comes around, to cross the start finish line next time. What the heck, it's the final race of the day. It's not even 3 o'clock yet in the afternoon, so we've got plenty of time. That's not an issue, so. Yeah, what the heck, let's run this race as long as we can, get as much green flag racing in as we possibly can. As you say, at best, the time spent under a safety car, running behind a safety car, is about 4 minutes, so twice as long as a normal lap around here. And so yeah, let's make this an exciting race and give them their 17 minutes, 17 seconds of race time. Here's the only problem. The longer this takes, the more dry the racetrack gets, Jeremy. We were talking about
true.
The rain tires earlier.
but trust me, the clouds are bearing down a little bit. There's going to be some rain at some stage, I think this afternoon or this evening. So some of the drivers would like it to come sooner rather than later. Others the other way around. That's just the nature of the beast. Some drivers are comfortable in the rain. Oops, you dropped your phone. And others are less comfortable in the rain.
I was hoping he realized that phone was sitting back there as he runs to get his seat, I'm sure, so he can watch the remainder of this race. That's what I'm going to say. He was hustling down towards safety car on the field, heading down to turn 3, slowly, and they're just still trying to get the field in order, out of their pit boxes and lined up so we can get back to racing. Yeah,
no, it's downhill here. They're all on the brakes, making sure the cars don't kind of run away from them. Yeah, this is. I mean, look, if the safety car was now running at greater speed, and these cars at the back will have a more of an opportunity to warm up, get a little bit of heat into their tyres than the guys that are running at the front of the field. So I'm sure that's one of the reasons why the safety car is going so slowly right now. And as long as the clock doesn't start, I think that's again, another smart decision made by race control.
Absolutely, it'll be a fair playing field.
It's the longest lap ever around here.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not much quicker than the track walk actually that they did on Thursday. We're down to just a few cars left though now. I think that might be the last one. Scott Schmidt in car number 38. That's the blue, white, and red car coming out of the pit lane now, heading towards turn 1. He is the 26th and last car on the racetrack. He's actually a lap down after those couple of spins that he had. But I think that's probably the last car that's going to be joining this race. So I think we're going to have 26 cars for the restart, 25 of them on the lead lap. Now, one of them still due to make a pit stop.
Yeah, and
everybody else has been in.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be interesting to see if there's any type of a penalty applied to PK. But your point is well made. He's going to be at the back. Getting back to the pro class competitors at the front is going to be a Herculean task anyway. So how much more are you going to penalize?
Yeah, look, by the time he's made his stop, he's going to be the better part of a lap down. Well, it's 99 seconds, isn't it, your mandatory pit stop? Yep. A lap around here is 2 minutes and a bit. That's 120 seconds. So he's only going to be half a minute away from being lapped. Even though he's going to come in at the front of the field, he's going to be way, way, way behind everybody else by the time he gets back onto the track, having served that mandatory stop.
What I'm interested
in, his pit stop, he's a solo driver, so his pit stop's going to be 3 seconds longer, 102 seconds he's got to spend on pit lane.
What I'm interested in seeing, Jeremy, and I'm really not seeing any of it right now, I'm looking for spray. Off of the tires. Obviously they're going very slowly, but you can still see a little bit of spray if there's a fair amount of moisture on the racetrack. We were talking about the life of the rain tire, and it's one of those deals where, with it being declared rain or declared wet, the teams must put rain tires on. That puts everybody on an even playing field. I'm willing to bet dollar to a dime that had some of these teams had the option as to the tire that they would run, they would have stayed on the slick.
Yeah, agreed.
And you know,
it's certainly
in race control, that's difficult. You're trying to protect your competitors on the racetrack from themselves. I think you said that earlier. It is damp down in the high-speed sections of the racetrack. Down at the kink, you can see moisture on the road, and then down to Canada Corner, the high-speed turn 13 and all of that. So it's just a matter of knowing what you've got underneath you, and for the more experienced drivers, they're going to hunt for moisture on the racetrack when they get going. They're going to try to run in the damp areas down the straightaways. They'll move back to the dry line in the corners, I would suspect, and then seek out moisture again down the straightaways. They only have to get them to last for 17 minutes, so it's one of those things as race control, difficult decision to mandate those tires, but I think in the interest of safety and the interest of fairness, was probably the thing to do. So the safety car staying on the track, so that's going to be another pace lap, which will be around a 4-minute lap. The clock should start this time at the line.
Yeah, and to answer your question about the penalty, no, there won't be an additional penalty because, per Chris Ward, the series manager, when we go green, there will be still almost 6 minutes remaining of the pit window. So even though he hasn't stopped yet, he's still got time to do so. The clock hasn't started yet, so maybe we are going to wait until we actually go back and take the green flag. That's very cool. I heartily approve of that. The pit stop window is still open, basically, Brian. So Nelson Piquet will be able to come in, make his mandatory pit stop, and not have any additional penalties. But it'll be pretty much self-penalising because, as I say, he's going to be a long, long way behind the rest of the field when he does finally emerge from the pit lane.
Absolutely.
So that's going to give the two Pro-Am cars of Bryson Liu and Ashton Harrison a great opportunity to run at the front of the field. And then from Joel Miller, he's the best place of the pro cars in the 4th position overall at the moment in car number 11. Then he's got a string of AM cars behind him before all the hungry pros farther back down the field, the best of them in 12th position. That's Danny Formal in car number 1, Loris Spinelli in for Gianno Torino. Danny Formal, of course, taking over from Kyle Marcelli, who drove the opening part of the race. And then behind them will be Patrick Kuyala in car number 50, Billy Johnson, who's driving solo in car number 71. And he was one of the first callers on pit lane, ruined that decision now probably. Behind him, Eduardo Liberati in car number 27. He's sharing that car this weekend with Dario Capitanio. And then Jordan Missig, car number 43, who's taken over from Aidan Yoda. Jordan Missig, he's a local driver from the Chicago area, so looking to move up from 8th position as he is currently in the pro class.
Let me ask you about fuel, though, Jeremy. I don't know how up-to-date you are with fuel numbers on these cars, but obviously it's a 50-minute race. They have the fuel on board to do that without a doubt, but they are going to run 8 miles, I should say, around this racetrack. 8 additional miles that they weren't planning on running that are not counting to the race time, and I wonder about fuel at the end.
No, that won't be a factor because they're running so slowly, and they would have been planning for this race to be probably 20 laps or thereabouts. 20 laps would have been around about what they would have been expecting to run. We've only run 10 right now, so it could be another maybe 6 or 7 laps of this race. I would think would probably be around about the number, 7 or 8 maybe. So they're not going to run as far as they would otherwise have run under green flag conditions.
Gotcha.
I think so. No, I think fuel will not be. It's a very valid point, but I'm pretty sure it won't be a factor. So lights out on the safety car, windscreen wipers on, however.
Lights out on the Lamborghini Huracan safety car. Green this time by. 17 minutes and change to go, and we know that our leader, Nelson Piquet, is the only car that has not served their pit stop. But I wonder about this as well, Jeremy. All the cars that are being shown pitted, did any of them pit and were in the pit lane when it went red? And if they were, does that pit stop count? So a lot of details to cover.
Good point. No, I think everybody else. I'm pretty sure everybody else has made their mandatory stop. Yeah, I don't think that's an issue.
Here we go. Nelson Piquet leads the field onto the front straightaway, climbs the hill, looks for the green from the starter stand. Driver's left, it waves. We're racing again at Road America. Clock has started. Piquet leads down to turn 1, but it's Bryson Liu just behind him, then Ashton Harrison, and Harrison under attack from Joel Miller in the number 11. Different classes of cars. Piquet in a pro entry, then Liu and Harrison in Pro-Am, Miller in Pro. So the first 4 cars in line, 2 different classes represented. Oh, and a little bump and run Chandrasoma gets the worst of that. Sheehan Chandrasoma, I should say, gets the worst of that, moved kind of unceremoniously out of the way at turn 3 there, Jeremy.
Yeah, and you know, some of these pro guys, they're trying to work their way through the field. A good start there from Loris Spinelli. I think he's got ahead of Danny Formal. Yeah, the number 88 car ahead of number 1, so great start there for Loris Spinelli, looking for a clean sweep on the weekend. He won yesterday with Gianna Truna. That's a surprise. Number 38 car off the road again. That's Scott Schmidt for at least the 3rd time.
And not the day that Scott Schmidt wants to remember, that's for sure. Up front, PK, expect to see him in the pit lane. I would think this time by, the sooner you come in and get that taken care of, the sooner you can get back out in case there's a full course caution that'll get you back up to the fight. So PK leads, then in Pro-Am, Bryson Liu, Am, Randy Solari. Solari with a great season so far this year, really showed some pace, Jeremy, as he's moved into the Am category.
Yeah, and he's got Jordan O'Brien right behind him there. That is the battle for, maybe 2nd or 3rd in the, no, I guess for the lead of the AM class, isn't it? That's right, Randy Solari, or is yeah, they're both ahead of Sheehan Chandrasoma, but they're into the inside there to Canada corner goes the number 99 car. That is Jordan O'Brien driving solo this weekend. Patrick Otto Madsen is his regular co-driver, but the youngster here has this opportunity to run out front now in the AM class.
Billy Johnson working his way through traffic as well, and it's going to get interesting because you got to fight your way through. What I liked that time out of the kink down the Canyon corner, a lot of spray. I was going to say that's what they needed to cool those tires. It's going to get tricky, but the rain is going to help those Pirelli rain tires aboard these Lamborghinis.
Yeah, it's properly wet now, so inspired call there by Race Control. There's the number 71 car looking to the inside of Sheehan Chandrasoma, that distinctive gold car of Chandrasoma. That's the battle for 9th and 10th into turn 1. Chandrasoma new to racing, well, relatively new to racing, done a little bit of Formula 4 open wheelers in the past, but not a lot. And he's been a bit of a revelation this season in the AM class, had some success already in that AM category, as Chandrasoma two class wins already this season.
Well, and hats off, big kudos to him, because he's going wheel to wheel with Billy Johnson, and it was not easy for Johnson to get by. Finally pulls it off in turn 5, or does he? Chandrasoma with the big run up the hill. He's got the power down on that outside rain line that works really well. And now Johnson finally clears him, and Johnson on the rear wing of the number 1 of Danny Formal. Down into turn 8, the 11, Joel Miller.
But Nelson Piquet trying to pull away here. He's going to have to make his pit stop. He's pulling away from that Bryson Liu car in 2nd position. Ashton Harrison, she gets past him. Scott Schmidt's back on the racetrack again. Oh, no, excuse me, that's Nelson Piquet, isn't it? Who's out in front. Similar coloured car to Ashton Harrison. He's pulling away, and Scott Schmidt hopefully is going to stay out of the way there.
Super tricky conditions. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's not just that it's raining down here, it's that it's raining down here, dry in other places, and damp in other places on the racetrack. So these drivers, each time you come into the corner, you really don't know what you're going to have that time through. There's Ashton Harrison in the 25 through turn 13, and Ashton Harrison, watched her over the years learn her craft, and I can tell you she is a quick study, because I've been so impressed with the growth that I've seen in her over the last couple of seasons in motorsports in general, and certainly here in Lamborghini Super Trofeo.
Did Piquet come in the pits? He didn't, did he?
No, he didn't.
Maybe he's just having too much fun. I mean, he's not in championship contention. I think he's just out there going to have some fun. You get a penalty at the end of the race.
And action all over the racetrack.
Super slippery,
Big slides off the corner. Whoop. One car into the pit lane, one car through the WeatherTech signage. And
that was Sebastian Carrazzo, one of the top runners in Pro-Am there, who was off the road and taking up that polystyrene sign.
And Spinelli, I believe it was, had the big moment into turn 1 the last time under braking. Now the 46 off. It's tricky out there right now. The call for range was the proper call. Kudos to race control for doing that. And now watching the 46 of Bryson Liu trying to hold off Spinelli and Joel Miller behind him. They've kind of swapped back and forth, and a problem for the 99.
Oh, wow. Ouch. That's not nice.
Great
That's
job.
A major problem.
Yeah, great job, though, by O'Brien to recognize the problem, that it was terminal, and immediately sought an area where he could get the car behind the wall and let the competition continue on the racetrack.
Yeah, that was the AM leader. Unfortunate for Jordan there. Really a great shame for him. Had a really, really good run going. 23-year-old, originally from Yarmouth in Maine. Not perhaps known as a hotbed of racing, but lives these days in Las Vegas. He's an instructor at the Dream Racing Motorsport team, I think, and/or at Pahrump as well. But that was a catastrophic failure on that car. And great shame for him. He's been done a really nice job this season. He's been given this opportunity by Ansa Motorsports. He's really heads up driving there to pull that car out of the way at turn 6 and get it out of harm's way. Very, very, very impressed.
Yeah, very.
You know how disappointed. You know how disappointed he's going to be, Brian.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And look at that Lawrence slide. That was Miller trying to get the power down coming out of 14. Spinelli gets by in the 88, and now he's got to worry about the 46 of Bryson Liu just behind, because Joel Miller lost all that momentum coming off of 14.
He did. Yeah, but there's some super battles here, and these are really tricky conditions. And yeah, Nelson Piquet, yeah, I think he's going to get a penalty because he hasn't served that mandatory pit stop yet. But yeah, he's not going to worry about that. He's just having some fun out of the front of the field, and you can't really blame him, because you don't often get a chance to measure yourself in these sort of conditions and on one of the great racetracks of the world. So I can understand what he's thinking here.
Well, I wonder too if they're saying, hey, just apply it at the end of the race. You know, I mean, yeah, get that taken care of. And by kind of having that argument, he gets to stay out there and see if he can put some distance between himself and the other competitors. So maybe that's what they're hoping for at the end. I'm not sure how well that one's going to play, though. And the problem there is, if you bet on it playing the way you want it to and in your favor and it doesn't, then it comes with a penalty and it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So PK still being shown out in front, then Spinelli, then Miller, the top 3 all-pro category cars right now, and then Bryson Liu, Ashton Harrison. And for Ashton Harrison, when you look at the championship there in the Pro-Am category, she and her teammate Tom Long lead that championship. I have them with 83 points coming into this second race. Bryson Liu, John Capestro Dubets in 3rd place, but only 6 points back. So they really, really would like to get in front of the 46 on the racetrack and try to gain 3 points back in the championship instead of losing 3.
That's exactly right, and Capestro Dubet's got an extra point for the pole for this race as well. So just 5 points the deficit once this race was underway, and looking to cement their position right now. Tricky conditions though. Young Bryson Liu in that number 46 car doing a really, really, really good job. Just 19 years of age, from Salt Lake City in Utah, or he was originally from the Bay Area. He's a student at the University of Utah studying business, but he's studying pretty well to be a racing driver as well.
When you see some damage on the front of the 30, just that little wrinkle in the hood, it's lifted a little bit. Doesn't have the top speed that it normally would, but it's not going to take 4, 5, 6 miles an hour off. But it's interesting to look at that damage. It looks like he either went well up underneath somebody or a piece of debris hit that car. He didn't get to the tire wall when he went off in Canada Corner, I don't believe, but there are some definitely big black smudges. I don't think that's a part of the wrap that's on the car.
I think it is.
Working a little bit further back, Patrick Kiala running in the 9th overall position right now, 7th in pro, trying to move forward as well. He's got Eduardo Liberati and Jordan Missick up in front of him. And then looking down through the order, I think everybody's doing a spectacular job. These are tricky conditions. I've always said that when I raced, I would rather run in full-on rain as a slide for the 8, just drifting wider and wider at the exit of the corner there. Patrick Liddy in the number 8, and a lot of pressure right now on Liddy from...
And that was actually Freiberg making the move there in car number 42. Really nice pass by actually making her return to racing this season. We know how quick Patrick Liddy is. He set the fastest time of all here on Thursday in the first practice session, or Friday, whenever it was. And Ashley Freiberg, she hasn't been in a race car for 5 years in that car number 42 for NTE Sport, and she's doing a really nice job. She had a quick spin yesterday, which is just kind of unfortunate. But you know, she was brought up in the Chicago area. She started karting here at the racetrack at Road America. Loves coming back here. She made her debut in this championship back in 2017. She had a couple of third place finishes in class, including one right here at Road America, and she's doing a really, really nice job there in that car number 42.
Yeah, great return for Ashley Freiberg, and she made that pass over Liddy look relatively easy. Time running out just inside 5 minutes, but just as we talk about what a great job she's doing, she kind of runs afoul of the tricky conditions, dropping wheels there at the exit of turn 14. Well, what is this?
It's the block being put on.
That
Althea Levy putting the big block on somebody. On who was that? 34 was it? Ooh, that's a battle for LB Cup actually.
Yeah.
Or the third position in LB Cup. Wow. Yeah, those two are going to be having a little chat after the race.
Well, I think they may be having a chat with the stewards afterwards, because I'm not really sure that that was on the up and up.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation that has been had through series all around the world these days, and it's just, there is an aggressiveness that drivers seem to be willing to show, and I'm not sure it's always what it is that we're looking for as officials. Chandra Soma makes the move up into turn 6, and that's difficult there as he goes past the 50. It's difficult because the quicker line is out there on the outside of the corner, and you put yourself there on the normal dry line, which is absolutely where you don't want to be when it's wet. So a good move around the 50 of Patrick Kuyala. Looks like Kuyala has his hands full. That Lamborghini sliding around a lot.
It is. I would have expected him to be really quick in these conditions. That car is just broadside through the corner, isn't it? He's used up those tires on this car. Those Pirellis are definitely second-hand at this stage. You know, he's from Finland. He's used to driving in slippery conditions in the snow up there. But no, he's struggling right now.
And no
pass there by the AM driver Sharon Chandrasoma, wasn't he? Wow.
Yeah.
Good
and
job.
The word "no" may be fitting when we talk about race wins, because just got a message that for Nelson Piquet, no, he will not go to the podium if it finishes this way. There will be a time penalty of a drive-through plus stop applied to that car after the race. So right now, Piquet enjoying driving on the racetrack, but he's not going to enjoy the result after the checkered flag. And a problem for the 54 as he goes around out of turn 13.
Yeah, it's Charlie Martin there having a spin. Yeah, she goes there, quick spin.
Yeah, she got around quickly of the pirouette. We've seen, what, 2 or 3 other cars have the exact same spin that she just had there in turn 13.
Yeah, but I'm surprised we haven't had more spins of that, to be perfectly honest. Really impressed with what these drivers are doing under very, very tricky conditions here. A lot of drivers don't have a lot of experience here either, so doubly impressed by what they're managing to do. That gold car running now in the lead in AM class, Sharon Chandrasoma, having passed Patrick Kuyala. That's no mean feat fact, that's seriously impressive. In the 9th position overall. We've now got 3 drivers at the front in pro category, well actually 2, because we can take Nelson Piquet out of the picture in terms of the results at the end of the race, but he's pulling away from Loris Spinelli. There is Spinelli in 2nd place, that green, white and red car. Not too far behind him still is Joel Miller. Behind him is Bryson Liu and Danny Formal closing in as well in car number 1, the championship leader for Wayne Taylor Racing, carrying the colours of the Paramus dealership in New Jersey.
The number 1 on the pole for both of the races here. They were on the pole last year for both races and won both races. So poles this weekend, but it looks like victories may not be in the cards. But for Loris Spinelli and Gianno Torino, it could be their 2nd win of the weekend, understanding again that Piquet will have a time penalty applied at the end of the race. It will be the drive-through equivalent plus an additional time penalty, and I'm going to imagine it'll be at least 60 seconds additional, if not more than that. And so your leader really right now, even though not so on the racetrack, is Loris Spinelli. White flag.
White flag, yeah. So 18 laps completed then. It'd be a 19-lap race in all. That's amazing. I'm really impressed by the quality of driving here. Loris Spinelli now has got his, he's defending the inside line there just in case, or maybe throwing up some dirt as well into Joel Miller's windscreen. But I think Joel Miller has a faster car right now. Has he looked after his tyres a little bit better than Loris Spinelli, because he's closing in as they go down the hill toward turn 3.
Well, and that's what I was just thinking as well, Jeremy. And I just watched Spinelli's line into the corner. He turned in a little bit early, nice and shallow, because to me that's signifying he's concerned about the balance of the car at turn in. It's a little twitchy, a little loose, running down the side of the racetrack. I believe looking for moisture. You can see that little bit of spray off the side of the track where you don't normally drive, and it's great to run fast lap times in the middle of the stint, but what you need is that good car underneath you for that run to the checkered flag. Does Spinelli have it?
Yeah.
Ooh, slide there off a 6.
Some drivers have shown really good pace right now. The fastest lap on that last lap was by Nelson Piquet, our race leader. He is a full 2 3/4 quicker than Joel Miller in 2nd place. Final driver was quick, a little bit farther down the field. Ashley Freiberg, who made up 3 positions on that last lap to get up into the top 10 in car number 42, and that will be 3rd position in Pro-Am at the moment.
A great run by Freiberg, and just watching Spinelli off the carousel, that car with a slide. Joel Miller behind. The car seems to be much more on rails, and Miller with a run down to Canada Corner. What's he going to have to work with when he gets there? What's Spinelli going to give him, and how much Pirelli rubber does he still have left on those rain tires? Spinelli parks it in the middle of the road, car sliding under brakes. Miller looks to the outside, side by side off the corner.
And he's
Miller with the run
off the racetrack.
Oh,
yeah.
Good stuff. He's still there, Jeremy.
Yeah, he was just pushed off the racetrack there, was Miller by Spinelli. He's defending staunchly here. I think Miller's going to try around the outside. He's going to get pushed off again at the exit. You're supposed to leave a car's width there. He didn't do that, so I think the stewards are going to be looking at it, but he didn't push him completely off the racetrack. He's going to come away with probably the win.
So Loris Spinelli with the checkered flag gets there first. He'll be credited with the win. Joel Miller 2nd. Bryson Liu takes the victory in Pro-Am, and waiting for the rest of the competitors to come through to see if there are any more changes in any of the other classes. What a great run today by Shihan Chandrasoma. Takes the win in the AM category, really the revelation of the AM category so far this year. Ashley Freiberg, with her return, finishes 3rd in Pro-Am, and waiting for our LB Cup winner, and there they are. Tandon takes home the victory in LB Cup, and this was a wild one, Jeremy.
It really was, wasn't it? What a fantastic motor race that was. And yeah, Ashley Freiberg comes over in the 8th position in the end, so she made up another place on that last lap, plus of course the position that was taken away from Nelson Piquet Jr. But boy, what a weekend sweep then for Loris Spinelli and Gianno Torino. And the cool thing about this, great donuts there by Loris Spinelli. He's a showman, isn't he? That was great stuff down at turn 5, giving the fans what they've come here for, a little bit more excitement, even though the racing might be finished.
Yeah, he is pumped up, and why would he not be? Takes the victory there, and you know, I'm sure the officials watched what happened on the last couple of laps, but especially those last couple of corners, I just feel like under these conditions, he left him a little bit of room, and the car slid up. You would expect that in these conditions, and I think the officials will probably take that into consideration when they look at making any kind of a decision on that.
I agree.
Good stuff. And I'll tell you, hats off as well to the fans who stayed, but also to the officials for the decisions that they made, because I think the call for the red flag added time to the race, allowed these competitors to go out and do what they came here to do, and also added that safety factor of the rain tires. Here are the last couple of corners. Spinelli sideways in the braking zone. Miller with the good idea to go around the outside. Really, Spinelli was kind of out there already. I don't know that was egregious. And then, you know, through 14, it was even less so.
It was, yeah, it was good. It was hard defense. Perhaps not a lot of respect for his teammate there, but look, for his rival there. But look, you go for the win, and you're going to do everything you can. He made sure the inside line is much easier to make a pass, but he made sure those inside lines were covered. And Joel Miller, if you're going to pass me, you've got to go around the outside, and you're going to have to work for it. And that's exactly what Joel tried to do, not able to pull it off. A great win, I'd say, for Loris Spinelli, and a really, really good weekend for this Torino racing team.
The only thing I would say is every race car driver has a very long memory. What goes around comes around. What went around this weekend? Well, Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America action at one of the most beautiful and compelling and competitive racetracks in North America. Thanks for joining us, everyone. For Jeremy Shaw, I'm Brian Till. Make sure you catch all the season-long Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America action right here. We will see you next time. There you go. Celebrations all around. Great weekend in Wisconsin.